Is Ryback a good Intercontinental champion? This is a very debatable topic because a lot of people like Ryback. I myself like Ryback. The main reason I do like Ryback is because you can tell that he actually wants to be a professional wrestler. You can tell that he actually enjoys being in the business of professional wrestling. You can tell that he enjoys, learning new moves, getting better at promos, becoming a better face, and just he's really absorbing the business of wrestling. Clearly, he struggles with his promos, but he does come across as very genuine. When he was a heel, he did the Ryback Rules thing, and it didn't really come off as that scary to me. I wasn't really afraid of the guy. I knew that Ryback, deep down, is a very, very nice and genuine and sincere person. So wrestling fans like Ryback. We like Ryback. At least I'm not going to speak for all of you, but most of us do. I think that Ryback has a tremendous future in World Wrestling Entertainment. I think that the WWE sees him as an asset or a potential asset to be. He's got the look. He's got the size. He's clearly got the size. He can teach you a thing or two in the weight room. And the guy is just... he's working towards it. He's a very, very hard worker. He's come through a lot of adversity with his previous injuries. He was on Tough Enough. I mean, Ryback really wants this. But is it the right idea to put the Intercontinental Championship on Ryback at the moment? My personal opinion is no, even if he didn't get the staph infection. And I'm glad he came back for it, and I'm glad he's going to defend it at SummerSlam. But even if he didn't get the staph infection and he was out for a while, I still don't think that he puts the title over. And I think that the WWE is in putting minor titles over mode. So they give the IC title to Daniel Bryan. I think Daniel Bryan would have been a tremendous IC champion. Clearly the fans after WrestleMania 30 wanted him to be more, but if John Cena can get demoted to the US Championship and make it something, clearly Daniel Bryan could do the same. And if you've seen the recent interview with Daniel Bryan and Sam Roberts, Daniel Bryan had this idea where he just wanted to defend the IC title on SmackDown, strictly SmackDown. And I'll admit, I applauded when I heard that. I was like, holy moly, this guy, he really wants to put the title over. He wants to wrestle on SmackDown. I made a video a couple weeks back about how shitty SmackDown has become. You can go ahead and check it out on my channel, but that's a different story for a different time. Yes, SmackDown is garbage, but if Daniel Bryan held the IC belt and he was putting it over each week in grueling matches on SmackDown, it would have put both SmackDown and the IC title over. But this is Daniel Bryan we're talking about. Daniel Bryan, who is over. He's been over for a long time. Extremely over. He's a humble guy that we all like, and he is a tremendous A-plus professional wrestler. He's gotten better at his promos, and he's gained credibility since he won the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 30, making Dave Bautista, Drax the Destroyer, tap out. So it's cool if you put the IC title on a guy like that, because clearly Daniel Bryan is over and credible. Ryback is a different story. Ryback is still relatively new in our eyes, even though he was Skip Sheffield, even though he was on Tough Enough, even though he's been in the WWE for a while now. Ryback is still relatively new to the WWE fan base. He hasn't established much credibility. He just hasn't gotten over. I think that he is over, and I think that his overness in a, for lack of a better term, is not necessarily as high as it could be. And I think that once they reach the full potential of Ryback, then you can stick an IC title on him and say, put it over. Or you can even promote him to the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Sure, why not? I think he has it in him. Not now. Definitely not now. Give it 5 years, and give him some grueling matches. Put him in some great feuds. 3 years, whatever it may be. And yeah, I think he has it in him. But right now, I do not believe that Ryback is doing a good job of putting the IC title over. And again, that's not necessarily his fault. It's mostly the booking. Daniel Bryan gets injured. Who do we put the IC title on next? Ryback is an up-and-comer. We want to put him over. But here's the problem. Like I said at WrestleMania 31, they wanted to put minor titles over. How are you going to put a title over by putting it on a guy who isn't necessarily over? I think that his chants, Feed Me More, is more over than he is. I think that whenever he does promos, they're not as good as they could be, and I think he has more work that needs to be done before he can become a credible, strong wrestler in the fan base's eyes. So I don't think that he is the best IC champion at the moment. But in the future, I think he'll be tremendous. But I think right now they need to consider putting it on someone else. And yes, he's fighting The Miz and Big Show at SummerSlam. I don't think either of those guys apply. Big Show, way too old. Getting better lately. I think he's becoming more of a, he's becoming more of a heel in terms of, acknowledging that people are telling him to please retire. I think it's funny, instead of just doing the classical WWE thing of not acknowledging what the fucking crowd says. So I think that's gotten better. And The Miz, I've always had a special place in my heart for The Miz. He's not the best professional wrestler, but my God, is he a good talker if you give him a microphone. He can definitely buy you time in live air, and he can make things interesting. His job on Tough Enough when he hosted Tough Talk was great. The Miz knows how to talk, but I don't think he's the guy who can put over the title because he's already been a multiple-time Intercontinental Champion. He hasn't done much with it. So, if anything, I think that we need to look for someone else to hold the IC belt and put Ryback in a different feud that puts him over. If you're a champion, the idea is that you should already be over. The champion shouldn't put you over. You should put the belt over. So, we'll see what happens with Ryback going forth.